Okay, cool.
Peace, 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 family, to all the family that's starting to come in to the chat. I have my brother here, Rafiki. I can't say the last name. Rafiki Kaaria. Yesterday we did a live stream with Irritated Genie, and we was talking about homosexuality and molestation in the Black community, and how should we deal with our people going forward. And we had a very intriguing topic, and brother Rafiki left a comment in the comment section that was a moving comment. Basically, what I was it was good that he left that comment, because he actually is adding to what I've been alluding to, or what we've been avoiding in the Black community. And I know I'm gonna come under fire from some of the straight Black people, but I don't give a shit, because I believe that this conversation need to be had. Um, you can disagree with homosexuality, that's one thing, but if we're not willing to have a conversation on our people, about our people and the things that happen to our people, I think it's hypocritical. So I'm providing a platform where we all can talk, and we can have these type of conversations, because we got a lot of people that's been molested, a lot of people that's dealing in confusion. There's a lot of different things that's going on in our community, and it's just like when it comes to this homosexuality, it's just ostracized. But we're not really having these conversations. We're in a society now where we're pushing our homosexual family members over to the side of white supremacy because we're ostracizing them, and then white supremacy is using them as tools against us. So there's a conversation that has to be had on all sides. We're not going to all agree on everything because these are conversations that's been swept under the rug for decades, generations. Nobody wants to deal with it. Nobody wants to deal with the pain and the embarrassment of being a straight man and having a gay son. Nobody wants to talk. We don't want to talk about it. So it's a lot of victims on so many levels and so many aspects. So now we got brother Rafiki here, and he was one of the first brothers to step up with the heart to tell his story. So I'm going to give him the platform, and we're going to respect him as he comes in. Unmute yourself, Rafiki, and introduce yourself to the panel.
All right, everybody, I'm here. Uh, Rafiki, last name is Kaaria. Uh, just want to give y'all a little bit about my story first off, and just kind of to let you know, um, I don't think my story is the same story as everybody else. Everybody that is dealing with this, they might be dealing with it for different reasons, but this is about me and who I am. Um, I don't think of myself as homosexual. I think of myself as me, and homosexuality is just a part of who I am and, what I've accepted based on what I've gone through. So just to kind of start off, my mom and my dad were victims of the war on drugs. When I was 3 years old, my mom, she did pass away of a drug complication, and she wasn't able to be in my life, unfortunately. And so my granny, she took us in, me and my three older siblings. And as far as my dad, he was doing a good job being there as a father. uh, he brought me around his girlfriend at the time, his wife now, and my other younger siblings. But unfortunately, and George, just let me know if I need to stop, or if you have a question, or you want to interject, just let me know.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Just go in and speak your truth. Yeah, I'll say something if need to.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so when I was about 5, I think that's when my dad went to jail, and so a year later is when I first experienced being molested. My granny, she had taken us in. We had been moved around from time to time, but my granny took us in, and like I said in my comment, she was very much the matriarch in our family. Um, she took us in. She took other cousins in from time to time. She took some of my uncles in from time to time. But one of my cousins that she took in, I'm not sure what he went through, but there was a window in the back room of my granny's house, and he would kind of peek in and watch me bathe, and I thought that was weird. And he would touch me and do things to me that at that time I really didn't feel like was right. And so I told my older brother about it, and my older brother, he just turned 36, so he's about 6 years older than me. And my brother, he really didn't respond to it. I wasn't sure at the time what he was going through and why he didn't respond to it. And maybe in a way I kind of accepted it as being okay. But you know when I was 6, it's hard to remember what happened when you were 6, but I don't feel like I thought it was okay. And so I went on and I lived my life. I did talk to girls. I had interest in girls, and there was always this curiosity about guys as I was growing up. And so, um, you know, that's just kind of how it was. And so when I was 16, my granny, she raised us in the church, and we took a church trip, and we had chaperones. So I think the church did a really good job of making sure they were looking out for our best interests. But one of the male chaperones, he was in the room that I was in, and we were getting ready to go somewhere, and he walked out of the shower, and you know he disrobed himself in front of me and was touching himself in front of me. And I thought that was kind of weird. And I guess I feel like I have a moral compass enough to know that this grown man shouldn't be, touching himself in front of me. And
How old were you at the time?
I was about 16.
During this time.
Huh?
During this time, you were 16.
Yeah, I was about 16. I would say he was probably about and I'm getting an echo. Am I
Yeah.
echoing?
Now hold on, let me see. That might be me. Let me see. Because I got two things open. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it's an echo and it shouldn't be echo. Let me ask you, was that the first time that you were touched?
No, the first time I was touched was when I was 6.
Okay, all right, okay, I got you. Yeah, all right. Well, you can keep going. I'm sorry. You can keep going.
All right. So when I was 16, uh, that's when I saw him expose himself to me. Is it still echoing?
No, brother, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. Yeah. So I thought it was wrong. I feel like inherently, I have a moral perspective, and I just didn't feel like what he was doing was right. And I did leave the room, but I didn't tell anybody about that. And so, just a second. All right. And so, um, at some point, I did accept myself as being gay, and you know, the next year, my sister, she had gone off to college, and she came back with a girlfriend. Crazy enough, and so that was the first time I really felt like this was something that I wasn't dealing with on my own, but this was my sister, and I wasn't sure if I should tell her, so I didn't come out to her when she came out to the family. But she had a girlfriend, and my family kind of dealt with it in their own way. They didn't really accept it, but it was something that you know we just kind of dealt with as a family. And so I went to college at 17, and uh, when I graduated, I moved to Houston. I live in the Dallas Fort Worth area. That's where I'm from. And so I was in Houston, and about a year later is when I met a guy that I was in a relationship with. And, you know, uh, he brought me around his family, and I felt really comfortable around them. And he he saw that I was doing things for my family, like providing, being a financial resource, and really a moral support to my family in a lot of ways. And so he was like, you're really doing a lot for your family, and you're around my family, and they don't know you're gay. So why don't you let them know? And so at that time, I did come out to my oldest sisters, and one of my brothers, my older brother, um, and my aunt and my stepmom, and a few other people in my family. And my brother, he was somebody that I I really just kind of needed him in my corner, but he wasn't. He didn't receive it well, and probably I'm 30 years old, so probably about 5 years ago is when my sister and I, the one that's a lesbian, we were having a confidential conversation, and she let me know that he was actually molested. He told her that he was molested by that same cousin, and by the director at the local Boys and Girls Club. And so it just kind of, for me, I just went into this introspection mode, like, wow, my brother, he was molested too. That's probably why he didn't really respond well to me talking about my cousin touching me. And he didn't know how to deal with it. And my brother today, he's married to a white woman. And so I know I mentioned in my comment that I feel like there are you know, some consequences of us being molested, and me being gay, and him being married to a white woman. And so it just kind of made me look at my brother a little different, because you know he had his situation where him and his wife were uh, having some issues, and they lived in Oklahoma at the time, and he wanted to come back home to the Dallas Fort Worth area. And so I was living in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and I went and picked him up, and brought him home. And to make a long story short, he wanted to go back to Oklahoma to his wife. And I mean, I really wanted my brother because, you know, I think just as a man, I really wanted, some type of other man to bond with and just kind of, feel like I was close to, not in any, perverted type of way, but just to feel like I was close to. And so he wanted to go back, and I didn't want to take him. And so, he called me all types of faggots and sissies and, whatever else he could throw at me to make me feel bad about myself. But, mind you, I knew about his situation. And so, you know, um, where am I at? So he went back home. Um, and then I know I'm missing something.
Let me
Go
ask.
ahead.
Let me hold on. Let me get this echo out of here. Hold on a second. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. When you was being molested at 6 years old, during those times, was there anybody that you told that it might have went on deaf ears? Once you got like to a point where you knew something was wrong,
The only person I told was my brother.
and uh he well he was about 12 at the time, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything. He didn't say anything to anybody.
No, I mean, when I told him, as far as I can remember, he didn't really respond. He was just like, "Oh, okay."
So then you're saying that your sister too. So your sister too. She turned out gay. Did she ever tell you once you had that conversation you had with her? Did she come out as saying that she was actually molested as well?
No, not at that time. But when we were about, when I was about 26, so maybe about a year or within that year that my brother had came back and wanted to go back to Oklahoma, um, she sort of revealed to me that m- my brother was molested. That's kind of, around that time I found out he was molested, but she was also molested by that same cousin, and she served some time in the military, so she dealt with some sexual abuse from people in the military.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it's pretty deep, man.
Yeah. So this cousin,
Yeah.
how many years older was he than you?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure. I think he's at least 10 years older than me. So when I was 6, he was probably about 16.
Yeah. And so damn. And he was also molested.
Right. Well, I don't know. About a year. Well, last year sometime, uh, it came out to his mom that he had molested my sister, and I guess kind of came out that he had molested my brother too. And so there was some backlash. We never really talked about it as a family. We planned to, but we never got around to having that conversation as a family. He actually threatened to go, beat my brother up and all of that other type of stuff. But yeah,
So is this guy still around?
he's still around. Yeah, he's still
Have
around.
you ever confronted him?
I haven't.
Did you ever want to confront him or
I've thought about it. When I was about 24, I tried to commit suicide, and um, it didn't work out, obviously. But I went through counseling, and I had some group sessions with some other people, and you know, it helped me kind of cope with where I am as far as being gay or being attracted to men, and also dealing with the molestation issue. But
ha-
but go ahead.
have you ever been attracted to women of any kind and maybe uh struggled with this situation because you was actually touched before you knew anything any type of sexuality period? Have you ever have you ever had or do you have any attraction to women?
I mean, I think that I do have attraction to women. Um, Sexually, I don't feel right. being with a woman, to be honest with you, at this point. When I was younger, there were girls that I liked, there were girls that I tried to date. I didn't have a man around, so I didn't really know how to be chauvinistic or anything like that. I was just, to be honest with you, it was easier to try to be with a guy than to try to be with a girl. But I never really had my first boyfriend until I was about 23. That first guy that I dated.
So, well, at what age did you realize that you started to say, "Well, I'm actually gay," or not just accept being gay, but where you looked around and you start liking boys? I guess that's what I'm alluding to.
I'm pretty sure it was when I was in high school, that freshman year of my of high school. High school.
Okay. And you said that you were saying that your brother actually concealed it, but when you look back in hindsight, as an adult now, did you see any signs of your brother being the same way?
No, I mean, hold on just a second. I'm gonna put you on my phone because I'm getting a lot of feedback on the computer.
Yeah, that might be coming from your side.
All right, all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear you good.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Snap. It's a delay, so I'm gonna just put this headphone back on. But if I take a minute to respond, just know it's because I'm getting a delay, and so I'm hearing myself. I'm
Yeah,
hearing you.
the headphones, that might be why there's an echo.
Right. All right. Well, can you repeat your last question?
Damn, what did I say? Damn, I forgot well, I'll say this. You said you thought about confronting them. But what about your sister? Did your sister ever confront this man, or nobody
Nobody,
ever said anything?
nobody ever truly confronted him. It was something that, like I said, last year we were supposed to try to have this big family conversation, but we didn't.
So when he sees you, what does he say? Like, does he
I mean,
say
I
anything?
don't see him often, but when I do see him, I don't really speak to him myself. If he speaks to me, I speak to him. I think I've come to a peace within myself that I'm not gonna hate this man for what he did because I don't know what he went through. But at the same time, I don't like what he did. I don't really appreciate, what it did to my life. Maybe what it did to my life, but um, I can't hate another man, when or another black man anyway. But when it came out that, he had molested my sister and my brother, because my name really wasn't mentioned in that conversation. But when it came out that he had molested my sister and my brother, he wanted to, fight my brother and this and that. And, I'm a peaceful person. I'm not really about fighting. And if you're not going to have a peaceful conversation with me about something, that means you're still dealing with it, for one. But for two, I'm not trying to fight you about this. I'm just trying to come to some resolve in myself. And I've come to enough resolve to not want to approach him about that. Because I mean, you think about R. Kelly, you know we haven't really heard a lot from him, and it's hard for that person, or R. Kelly or my cousin or whoever, to really deal with that themselves.
Have you? You said that you tried to commit suicide before, so
Right.
you've gotten therapy.
Right.
So
I have.
when you got in therapy, with the therapy you getting, do you struggle with well today you admitting that you are gay. So I don't, well, excuse me if I'm using a wrong term. I don't know the terms to use, so I just say gay. Um, do you struggle with did you struggle with that for a long time, based on what you're saying, what happened to you?
I mean, up until the point where I was attempting to commit suicide, um, when it came to me being gay, I felt like, for the people that knew in my family, I really and truly in my heart felt like they were being fake. I just couldn't accept it myself. I didn't love myself. And I mean, honestly, that's why I wanted to commit suicide. But at this point, going through counseling, going through therapy, I've learned to love other things about myself and to minimize this homosexuality, that that was so inflated in my own life. You know, I am okay with me being gay. You know, I'm okay with it because I know how I deal with it. I know that some other people deal with it in different ways, but I'm okay with how I deal with it.
Okay. How do you feel? How do you feel being a black man, uh, knowing what black men go through in this Western culture, but then
Right,
also being a gay black man? So you get a double bubble. You get ostracized from basically the society at times just by being a black man, but then you get ostracized from the community at times by being a gay black man.
right. Well, I mean, I don't really accept the criticisms that the black community puts on the gay community. First off, you know for me, and this is really something that I got from going to therapy. I really don't identify with anything, social norm or whatever. I identify with me. And the idea behind that is introspection. Then if I know if I can deal with me and be happy with me, at that point I can deal with anyone or anything without carrying the burden that I'm lacking something.
Okay. Let's see. What when you look at politics and now they say that there's a gay agenda going on with the LGBT thing. Do you believe that there's a gay agenda? And if so, do you support the LGBT's agenda?
I don't support a LGBT agenda. If anything, I support being pro-black and liberating black people from this system of white supremacy that we deal with. But me myself, I mean, I know I'm different from a lot of people that y'all identify with being gay, but I'm not pro-gay. I'm not pro anything else but pro-black. I'm me, and I guess it's a little unfortunate that I have to deal with being gay, but it's a small casualty in my eyes. You know, uh, being gay is a, or sorry, being black is a big casualty because people look at me and they see I'm black. I'm a dark skinned brother, so people look at me and they can tell I'm black and they automatically want to discriminate. As you can tell, or maybe you can tell, I'm not one of those, flag waving homosexuals. I'm not somebody that when I walk down the street, you automatically assume I'm gay. So, and that's not something I do as an act. It's just me, you know?
Uh, can can I ask a quick question? You said earlier, you don't accept the criticisms that the black community puts on the gay community. What do you mean by that?
I mean, so thinking about what I've gone through, I can be more tolerant of issues that other people are going through. I know that there are a lot of gay dudes out there, especially some of the very flamboyant ones. Um, they are sort of putting on because they're acting out of hurt. I don't think that I have to act out of hurt anymore. I did at one point, to be honest with you, but I'm not acting out of hurt. I'm just being me. So I'm not so receptive of the criticisms that the black community, the straight community, or whoever puts on the homosexual community because y'all don't really sympathize with what gay people are going through. You just don't like the act or whatever.
Let me ask you, because you used the term pro-black, being a black man and a black gay man, who you said that your parents were succumbed to the drug era, the drug. You had a father that was in jail, so you was left unprotected, and
Right.
bad things happened to you. So you are a black man that's from the same hoods and stuff that we're from, who was molested. You turn out gay, but you still love black people. You still
Right.
love the black struggle. How does that make you feel? Still loving your people and want to identify with the black struggle, but you feel ostracized at times by your people because you being gay. How does that make you feel?
I mean, to be honest, like it doesn't necessarily make me feel any type of way. I know that there are black people fighting for the black struggle. that don't like homosexuality. It's not going to stop me. I don't think discriminating or being racist towards black people is right. And so I'm not going to minimize my fight for the black struggle because all these other people don't agree with me being gay.
How do you feel about people like Bayard Rustin and James Baldwin that were openly gay men that was on the front line for equality? Are you aware of people like Bayard Rustin?
I am. I think that some people might disagree, but I feel like they put their blackness first. I mean, like I said earlier, you see the blackness before you see anything else. And so, whether you are behind somebody else who is fighting for um, the liberation of black people, or fighting against the black struggle, or whatever, or if you're on the front lines, I think that that should be acknowledged. I don't think you should minimize somebody's fight because they are gay. Um, it, it's just not right to me. you know they deal with that struggle of being black, but they also deal with the struggle of being gay. So they're dealing with more struggle than you probably are, and you trying to make it seem like there's somebody who doesn't deserve to fight because they're gay.
Well, what do you say about a lot of straight people have a tendency to think that 90 to 95% of homosexuals will molest children. They are actually the molesters of children. What do you say about that?
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. What facts, where are you drawing those facts from, first of all? And secondly, you have straight people in the straight community who rate black men who rate black girls. You have black women who rate black boys. So, that argument doesn't stand any ground with me.
Right, but you hear it a lot, right?
I do.
Right, and see
I
that.
don't think those two. I don't think those two things can be conflated together. It just doesn't hold ground with me personally.
So, CD, you say this is total bullshit. Then I don't understand why you watching. I'm having this conversation whether we agree or disagree, because these are the conversations that we should be having. Because you'll say this the total bullshit, but you may have homosexuals in your family that you talk to every day. So we got to
Right.
get out of this hypocrisy. I disagree with homosexuality, but I'm
Right.
still willing to talk to this man and have a conversation because I know that they lived in our community. They live in our
Right.
community. We got to stop. Well, if I missed the point and I was wrong, then I apologize, CD. If I missed the point and I was wrong, then I apologize to you. But we got to have a conversation. We got to stop running from the conversations. Like I tell you, Rafiki, I disagree with homosexuality.
Hey, so can I make a point about that just
Yeah,
to give you my stance?
go ahead.
So I don't disagree with homosexuality, um, but I don't necessarily agree with the ways that it's being perpetuated. With the pedophilia, any social norms that people buy into and accept. Whether they become gay themselves or are more accepting of it. You know, but I don't disagree with homosexuality. Um, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a concept in the tradition of what's called two-spirited people, and some African culture or early African cultures and some Native American societies. Um, and basically, what that is they put those people on a pedestal. They recognize that these people can identify with everybody, regardless of anything. And so it's kind of like they have the knowledge and wisdom that could resonate within that community to bring peace, to bring whatever, whatever will make that society beneficial and thrive.
I,
Bro, that was a big statement right there to make,
I get it.
because the
Yeah.
African culture runs on life and family, which homosexuality is directly against, whether you're saying it verbally or it's just by your actions, you're showing that. That's why there's a direct problem culturally with that happening, let alone how we as a people have been exposed to the homosexuality angle as a mass through slavery, as a sexual tool. You know what I'm saying? So When you're
Well,
saying that, brother, I got to kind of disagree with and move away from that statement. Like, it's one thing for you to say this is what you want to do in today's society, but I, I'm going to say it's a bit of a far stretch for you to try and attach that to African culture.
okay. Well, I mean, I'm just drawing from historical reference. But let me ask you this. Is the black community nationwide here in America or there in the UK, worldwide, wherever you go, is it not thriving? Are black people not thriving?
Thriving? What do
Are
you
we
mean,
not
are we thriving?
procreating? Are we not in mass numbers?
Most definitely, because nature dictates that.
Okay.
If the homosexuality thing was something that nature allowed to happen, then we wouldn't be flourishing. That word wouldn't be being used. It will be a misnomer in it. So already nature's dictated that it can't be the norm. It's only through the mass socialization on telly, you know, however you're perceiving it through programs, food, different things, as well as the abuse and molestation angles, why it's now becoming a social choice. That's different from a cultural choice.
Okay. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I guess in nature, and I know y'all brought this up earlier, in nature, not all animals procreate, whatever the issue is. Not all humans procreate, whatever the issue is.
I think
So
yeah,
go ahead.
I think that when we deal with animals and then humans, because we have to separate it, because we know animals are one thing, but then we deal with humans. And my stance is this. I know that when we look around nature and we look at the so-called human beings, um, every homosexual, every so-called straight person, every gender came through the union of a man and a woman, and that's the
Right.
only way we can bring life into this reality. A man and a woman. So nature shows us the way that we prolong and keep life going. Now we know that in life there's so-called this thing that we call good and evil, and there's things that happen throughout time that brings about pathological behaviors. And for me, for me, I don't see no way of policing homosexuality because you have people like you that will be outward. You're outward, and you're saying, "Look, this is who I am. Take it and leave it." It took me a while to get here. I'm comfortable who I am, but then you have a lot of brothers that's inward that you don't see. So I don't see no way of policing it. So I disagree with it. I think that it's anti-nature. But in my opinion, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. This is me. I don't feel as though I never been molested before. I never been through what you've been through in that aspect. So I don't have a right to tell you how you should live your life. And I'm not. But I have a right to disagree with it just as well as you have a right to live your life the way you see fit. So I'm mature enough to have a conversation with my people because I know that black people have been through so many different traumas on so many different levels. So when you come to me and you say, well, I'm black first, and I want the same thing for black people that you want,
Right.
I can't wave a magic wand and make you be straight. I don't even think that you can even make a gay person straight. I don't I don't have an answer for that. But
Well, what I would say to that is, pathological behavior, in regards to animals, I mean, they go based off of natural instinct, and so I mean, obviously, yeah, you see some homosexuality in nature, based on socialization, or whatever. But I think as humans, like you said, we have to separate the argument. As humans, we thrive off of sort of natural behavior, but also socialization, and you can see that all the way back to the dawn of time. If you can prove to me that there was no homosexuality in African cultures pre Greco-Roman influence, then great, okay, then I'll buy that argument. But I don't understand, how some people are not molested, some people are not socialized into being gay, and they still end up being gay.
right. I think that in ancient times they had laws against it. So man participated in these acts and once um you explore different things to find the rights and the wrong of things through observation. We invent things through observation. We know which way to go through observation of studying nature. So we figure things out, and then we create laws around certain things on what we deem right or wrong. So once we understood that we couldn't procreate life, or a woman had a womb and two bosoms to sustain life, we knew that that wasn't the proper way to go. Because when you deal with homosexuality, if you just had an island of all homosexuals, that would be death because they're not producing nothing. Now, I think that what we have to separate is, with me saying that, that doesn't say that for me, I can't speak for other people. That doesn't say that I don't think that um, you should be killed or you should be murdered or somebody should abuse you. But I know that if I'm looking at nature, what nature shows us, homosexuality with the act of two women or two men is still death because they're producing nothing.
Right.
So this
Well,
this is where the laws came from, and man began to say, well, this is not the proper way to go in order for us to keep our kingdoms. Like a king wouldn't want his son to be gay because how does he pass on his line?
right. Well, I don't. I mean, when we think about nature, and I'm just trying to steer it away from the whole nature argument, because I mean that
No,
I
go
feel
ahead,
like.
speak your point. It's cool. Go ahead.
Well, no, I feel like that argument can be made, but like I said before, I don't think that society or pedophiles have created all homosexuals, and so why would the creator create people who are gay? You know, that's kind of how I that's kind of how I see it. Like I just feel like I don't know. That's
No,
just kind of where
no,
my
bro,
thought process is.
but you can say it the way you see it because your experience is your experience. It's nobody else.
Well, my experience is that I was molested. Like I said at the very beginning, I never want to make my story seem like it's stands ground for everybody else. You know what I mean?
Right. What? So what? What's your stance on when you hear when you heard the panel yesterday,
Right.
and you hear some of the panel discussions today, and you hear black people and the way we speak about homosexuality and the way we should deal with it? If you was to give your opinion based off of the things that we heard, what would, and then based off of being around other homosexuals that are black, that have
Right.
black straight family members that love their family, the conversations that you guys have amongst yourselves, what are you guys saying about your family members and us as to how we view homosexuality within our community? What are the conversations that you guys are having?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of my friends they really haven't dealt with it in the way that I have. But I guess um, just within my own introspection, you know, as far as it being something that's looked down upon in Western society today, I don't think the black community is doing what was done in historical times, such as arranged marriages, to not have all the homosexuality that exists today. I think that if that were an option, I think you might see less of it, but that's not an option right now. We have to deal with what we're dealing with because of what we went through as a people. I don't think that it's something that you can just say, let's wave a magic wand or let's kill all these people and everything will be okay. Just like being gay is an issue to you all in the straight community, there are so many other issues in the straight community that um, I mean, I don't know if it's minimal compared to being gay, but there's so many issues that need to be dealt with, And so, do I want homosexuality to perpetuate or be a highlight of the black community? Hell no. Excuse my language, but hell no. I don't want that. I don't want people in our community to be molesting, raping, or doing anything else that would cause a sexual deviance in my mind. To the black community. I don't want that.
So
You
do
know,
you
I,
so
Go ahead.
do you think that homosexuality is a sexual deviance?
Okay, that's a good question because I don't. We have to really point out what we think deviance is. Because are we going based on what the predominant black opinion is? Are we going based on the Western opinion? Are we going based on the Western opinion or whatever? For me myself, as a child, I didn't think that it was right for my cousin to touch me. I didn't think it was right for a deacon in the church to expose himself to me and touch himself in front of me. So it was a deviance for me, and it made my mind go into exploring and curiosity um, that I don't think necessarily was meant for my life. You
So
know,
so
Go
so
ahead.
so you're So your the way homosexuality came to you as a child came to you in the form of sexual deviance.
Right.
And we know that when we hear the stories of a lot of our sisters and brothers in the black community, when that man is coming in the room 2 o'clock in the morning molesting the child, it's coming in sexual deviance. And then
Right.
that behavior is perpetuated through sexual deviance because that's the way it came to them.
Right.
So it's hard. I think that a lot of times it's difficult in our communities because okay, you're a gay brother, but then say if your father's alive and or another a guy he has a son and he disowns his son, he doesn't want to talk to his son because he he put that child inside the woman that gave birth to. So every time he goes to his gay son, he's looking back at himself
Right.
and he's saying, what the fuck did I produce?
Right.
So I think it's pain on all sides that a lot of my straight family don't want to talk about. We don't want to deal with it.
Absolutely.
We and then
Absolutely.
people ostracize me for having you on the platform and having a heart to have a. Because I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of the straight people in the conversation don't want to have these conversations. Oh man, you a gay lover. I don't. But see, I got to a point where I don't give a fuck. Because
Yeah.
if I say I love black people, I'm super fucking black. I love
Yeah.
all my people. See, I can disagree
Yeah.
with lifestyle. I can disagree with homosexuality. That don't mean I don't love black people. And I'm
Right.
willing to stand on it. I don't condone it. I don't agree with it, and I'm gonna stand on that. But I don't. I know the trauma of our people, and based off of what you're saying, homosexuality came to you in the form of trauma,
Absolutely.
and you don't know. You can't say that you would have been gay had this would have happened. You don't know.
Right.
And so let me ask you this question.
Okay.
The outward gay brothers that we see, the flaming ones. But you being a gay man, how many what do you think the percentage is of the undercover brothers and sisters that we don't know about that in the straight community we think is straight, but these dudes is after 9:30 at night, they playing the game. How prevalent is that in the black community from your
I
experience?
mean, to be honest with you, from what I've seen, it's hard to say, but I don't identify as being a down low brother. You might not look at me and think I'm gay, but I'll let you know if I feel like the conversation warrants it. But there are some. I mean, I've come across some guys who, you know, used to deal with women, now they want to deal with men, or they're married and they, just want to dabble in that lifestyle or whatever. So I guess based on what I've seen, I would probably say it's maybe about a 30%, maybe about 30% of those guys that I've come across
That's a
that
lot.
have,
That's a
huh?
lot. That's a lot.
I mean, it's a lot, and it's very unfortunate because I don't think that I don't think the conversations are being had, and so these guys are dealing with it. It's an inward battle. But they act on it because they want to. It's almost like a drug, and you need to get that high from time to time. But
Have,
and my numbers could be different from somebody else.
have you
Higher
seen
could be lower. Go
have
ahead.
you seen in your experience some of the guys that's so outwardly against it with boasting and so strong against it, but then you see some of them actually playing with the homosexual behind something like the Eddie Long types.
Hmm.
Out of his sermons, fire and brimstone against homosexuality, but then it came out that he was a homosexual. So
Absolutely. I mean, I told you about the deacon at my church.
right,
I've come across pastors. I've come across men who are married or have girlfriends or what have you, and to everybody else, they look straight, they act straight, they have a girlfriend, they have a wife. They're strong in the church, but and they'll demonize and villainize, you know, anybody that's gay and talk trash about them. But they still act on it.
how do you feel about Black Lives Matter?
I mean, Black Lives Matter is cool. I think anything that anybody does is, to fight against white supremacy, police brutality against black people or anything like that. I think it's great. I think when it takes a propaganda approach, sometimes it gets out of hand, and you know, people, and then, of course, people want to identify the fact that lesbians might have started this movement or did start this movement, but me as a black person, if something happened and I chose to step up to the plate and put myself on the front line, for my community, I want to be respected for that. And it it won't make me turn against my community because people say, well, he's gay, so we shouldn't really respect that or we should look down on it. But it would make me look at everybody else different. That's why I actually started a YouTube channel, and I was on Facebook and I was posting a lot of things, and I got a lot of backlash, not necessarily because I was gay, but you know in the black community, we just don't trust ourselves enough, and we like to push back, and it kind of put me off a little bit, to the point where I was like, well, I'm not going to do this as much anymore. I really am all about my actions. You ask my family, I'm all about protecting my women, the women in my family, the kids or whoever, you know um so for somebody to who doesn't know me or barely knows me to try to make it seem like what I have to say is not important, it just kind of makes me feel like, okay, well, I'm gonna just show them with my actions. I'm not really gonna put myself out there because they don't know the full reality of what I go through and what I have to deal with being black, being gay, or whatever.
Powerful, powerful. I just it's we we had a heated panel discussion when you popped in before
Yeah.
I had to leave. And how much of it did you hear?
Well, I heard a good portion of it, and so I did jot a few notes down, and it's probably gonna get probably not heated with you, but heated with people in their heart. But
No,
someone
speak.
mentioned that.
That's why
Go
we
ahead.
got you here. Speak your put it out there. It's
You know,
necessary, man.
People made a lot of good points. Somebody made a point that we're mentally ill, and that that the straight community shouldn't co-sign with us. You know, I, as a black person, and my friends and people that I know, we don't really need cosigners. We have to deal with this, and so we deal with it the best way we can. We don't really need, the fag hag girlfriend to co-sign with us. We don't have to be around them to feel better about ourselves. I'm fine with somebody, even in my family, not wanting me to be around them because I'm gay. That's cool with me. And with a lot of my friends, that's how it is. It sucks that the straight community has abandoned us, and we have to find homes and lives and livelihood, within the gay community, because the black community has disowned us. But it is what it is.
Hold on.
Somebody mentioned, go
Hold
ahead.
on. Hold on 1 second, Rafiki. So, anti-crap, you're saying when you become gay at the begin after being molested, it's a way for you to punish yourself or to justify the pain you felt, physical and mental, when it happened. It's just so I guess you've been molested before. Because if you've never been molested, then you're not qualified to make that statement. I'm
Hmm.
not qualified to make that statement because I've never been molested. So I can't say if you've been molested before, that's the way to punish. You have. I need you to put in the chat room. Have you ever been molested? Because if you've never been molested, don't talk about what it's like to be molested. We got
Right.
to get out of that shit. I don't know what it's like. I've never had a man or a woman touch me at a young age in a manner where they shouldn't touch. So I don't understand that psychological aspect. So you saying that you was okay? So you're qualified. But there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions based off of this that never been molested.
Right.
And that this is why I'm having these conversations, because we're having these discussions, but we're just taking one hard line approach to it, and we're not having a conversation. Like when I was growing up, you had the gay aunt or the gay cousin inside the household, but we never had this conversation. You had 6 out of 10 black girls are molested before the age of 16. Nobody want to talk about it. 4 out of 10 black boys are molested that admits it, but he never comes out and tells his story because he doesn't want the embarrassment. The
Right.
father don't want to deal with it because he don't want to deal with the embarrassment. So we'll call the white man the devil, but we don't want to deal with his devilish deeds that he did to us, that we perpetuate in our community. So instead of us having the conversation, we don't. And then with me saying this, I would have to ask you, with the way that we treat homosexuality in the black community, do you think that we actually make enemies of our gay family members that white supremacy actually uses as a tool to further divide our community?
Hmm.
brother.
Yeah.
You there?
I think this is all I'm gonna say. I think Irritated Genie bring up a point when he was on, and he talked about the comparison between drug abuse. Now the brother may not agree with this, but again, someone who is addicted to drugs, you see they have a problem. You see that behavior is not conducive to normal everyday behavior or family responsibilities and other things of such nature. So now you understand that that person may have become a drug addict through some trauma that's happened to them, through something that's happened, and you want to work with them to heal from that trauma. But at the same time, are you not going to recognize that the behavior that they're doing, which is the drug taking in this example, is detrimental, and now they have to be treated differently until that issue gets sorted? Because again, I'm from what I'm hearing the brothers saying, he doesn't believe being gay is a problem with the black culture. Am I right in making that assumption, brother?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, I know I'm gonna answer this indirectly, but just hear me out, okay? So
Cool.
we have to ask ourselves, who is it detrimental to? I know it's gonna be detrimental that to that person who is doing drugs. I mean, their livelihood is probably fading. If it's to a point where they're out doing drugs and sharing these drugs with other people and perpetuating a drug doing behavior, then obviously it's a bigger issue. Um, I told you that I went through counseling. Um, Not to say that I was, trying to be an influence on other people before I went to counseling, or that my life was in a degrading state before I went to counseling. But counseling helped me to cope with my sexuality in ways that, prohibited or that insulated me from these social norms that, or these societal uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Stereotypes that people put on gay people. I don't think of myself as being promiscuous. I don't think of myself as a person who's, getting STD or HIV all the time. I'm not going around spreading anything. I'm not getting with women and breaking up happy homes. You know, in a way, and I don't really want to say it like this, but it's the way that comes to mind. I've tamed my sexuality. I don't feel like I'm a detriment to society. I don't feel like I'm a detriment to myself, and I don't feel like I'm a detriment to the black community because I'm gay. You got so many women and so many men out there who never have kids their whole lives. So, if you have an issue with who I choose to sleep with or who I choose to love, then that's on you. It doesn't affect the black community. It's a personal thing for
Yeah.
you. And I understand that some people grow up in countries or islands or whatever um, that speak against it, and you hold strong to that. Do that, But when it comes to the black community, don't make it seem like I'm more detrimental to the other person who doesn't even have kids or perpetuate procreation.
Let me ask you. Let me. I got two. I want to ask you two questions that the chat said.
Yeah,
My man Moses Jenkins said, "Do you think that it can be cured?" Well,
absolutely not.
okay, yeah, because people were saying, a lot of times people say, they went and they got saved and they're not participating in these acts anymore. But I was a person. I don't know. I don't see myself unloving women. That's
Right.
not what happened. So if I'm being a rational thinker and not super emotional, if you got a girl that's gay or a man that's gay, I don't, and I'm not gay, so I'm just speculating. I don't know how you unlove. I don't know how a gay person unlove that man. Like so you're saying that can't happen.
Yeah, I don't think it can happen. I think that it's one of those things, like, I mentioned before, eating the forbidden fruit. I'm not a Christian, but I think the Bible, has some great context to it. But Eve, when she ate the apple, her eyes were widened to the wisdom of being a human, being having freedom of choice. And so I guess I look at it like, I'm gay now and I've seen what that's like. And yeah, you can either choose to like it or not, or you can choose to say that somebody molested me, I hate that shit, and I'm not going to do it no more, you know. But when you've had to deal with it for years and years and years by yourself, and you just kind of come to accept it, I don't think
Okay.
you can necessarily turn from it. Um,
Let me
yeah,
let me ask you. Jermaine in the chat says
yeah.
gay people have higher incomes and more
They have what?
education. He says gay people have higher incomes and more education than average. They're also less crime prone. These comparisons to mentally ill people and drug addicts are hilarious. Now, I will say some that I agree with, some that I disagree with, because I think that we don't understand um, really what's going on. Because you have a lot of men, so-called that's looked at as heterosexual males,
Right,
that's out in the street shooting up shit, getting
right.
money, wilding out, and a lot of these men were molested too, but they're not telling their stories. They did a
Definitely.
study, like I said, on violent criminals, black in the black community that was locked up for violent, very violent crimes. 45% of them been molested before.
Hmm.
And so we don't really know. And then when we deal with heterosexual molestation, a lot of these heterosexual males, they're molesting both. They're not just molesting little girls.
Right.
It's just masked that way. So we don't really know who's when you deal with the crime part. But as far as higher average, higher income, I probably can agree with that because I think that most homosexuals basically go along with the system and get a job, and they don't. A lot of them don't rebel against the system like so-called um, regular society will. They
Right.
tend to
Well,
do this
to
with the
add to that, I think that gay people who survive, because we do know that there is an issue of suicide among the LGBT community, but those who survive, they have this perseverance about them that, I guess once they mature into adulthood, you know, I mean, a lot of them are on their own, so they have to survive. They have to do what they can to still live their life and be a productive member of society. And so, yeah, maybe they do make more income. I don't know about the crime rate within the gay community. I just haven't studied that, but I think that if there is a lower crime rate in the gay community, it's probably amongst those who, largely have accepted themselves or been accepted by other people who may be gay, who may be straight, family, or whatever. Um, so, yeah, I can buy that. I don't know if that's a fact.
Bruv,
peace.
it's not fact. I'm
Yeah,
not feeling. I'm not feeling some of these guys. See, this is the problem. Yeah, for me, we've moved from what has happened to you to now you suddenly standing as this standalone project where you're now saying call for gay rights. It doesn't affect no one. It didn't really. This way I'm confused with what you're saying because it's either this is your choice you're saying that you've just made, or it's a direct connection to your abuse.
I so me personally, I feel like me accepting me being gay let me just kind of rewind a little bit. um so I've studied psychology. I'm working on my master's degree in counseling, and I guess I've learned a few things about the brain and how it operates. And as a youth, to up to a certain age, your prefrontal cortex is not fully developed, and so um you I think that, if your prefrontal cortex is not fully developed and you haven't really established a sense of autonomy, knowing who you are and being comfortable with who you are and making your own decisions, I think that you are really impressionable. And so I was impressionable as a kid. Um, I didn't have my mother and my father to make a strong influence on me, and who I became as a person, as an autonomous person, And so, yeah, I feel like for me, not for everybody else, and I don't speak for everybody else who's gay, So I feel like for me, me being gay is a consequence of the molestation and the sexual confusion that I dealt with. I don't feel like that's true for everybody. And I don't know if that would have been the case had I not been molested.
Right. I agree with that. I want to say peace to my little brother in the chat room, to Ryan. Yeah, you must be at work watching. Yeah, there's a lot of people in the chat room putting in comments. Some people was understanding, some people taking the hard line stance. Irene Yvette said this man is exactly why they cannot be tolerated. It is their freedom to roam freely, uh, which by him which by him at risk as a child. That poor that and poor not no parental protection, accountability by his biological parents. Well,
Well,
he was saying that when he first came in, that his mother passed away and his father went to prison. So yeah, he didn't have those type of provisions set for him at that time. So
well, George.
yeah.
So I mean, I tend to agree with some of the things that Irene says. I think she takes a very polarized view against homosexuality, and I'm okay with that because I have my polarized view of a lot of things within the Black community myself. I don't think that if, let's just say hypothetically, if I was to ever have kids, I'm not going to go tell my kids, is it okay for a man to be with another man or a woman to be with another man, or tell them that it's not okay. But I'm also uh, I'm also not gonna take the stance that she takes. I think it comes from hate and emotion. But I'm also, so I guess what I'm saying is I'm not gonna encourage that either. I want my children, if I ever have them, to be strong, productive members of a society and to be pro-black and to do everything that I didn't do and everything that I am doing to perpetuate blackness, to perpetuate what it means to be black in my view. You
How
know,
would how would you how would you have children though? Are
I
you
was gonna. Thank you, George. Please, please,
look,
because
I mean that's really a
how's
whole
that?
nother conversation, but
No, but that's
there are
cake and eating it now. Come on now. Not
you
see
said
now
what now?
this is cake, having your cake and eating it. Meaning you want everything now. Now you're saying you want to be gay for a period of time, but still somehow have children. So what are you going to be teaching your children when you have children? Because again, the notion is to have children. You understand legacy, as you said. You want to pass on the best parts of you. So are you
So
teaching your children to be heterosexual? Are you telling them do both throughout their life? Where's that going? And doesn't
so
that seem detrimental and confusing going forward for
right.
future generations?
So from what I heard in the conversation earlier and what I took from it, you say I want to have my cake and eat it too. But I used to be a teacher for 4 years, and I never put my hands on another student. I never tried to convince another student to be gay. So, can I not be a productive member of society and not have an influence or try to turn another student gay or what have you? If I was to have children, and there are ways, maybe you haven't thought of those, and that's fine, but I don't have to put my homosexuality aside to have children or to be an impact on other children in a positive way that encourages pro-blackness. So I'm not trying to have my cake and eat it too. And I did say I was hypothetically speaking, and it is a possibility. I know several gay men who don't disclose their lifestyle to their children, whether their children are living with them or living with the mother. I know several straight men who have children who dabble in this homosexuality thing. So I don't, I, I'm not trying to have my cake and eat it too, but if you want to kind of criticize me, there are people who have done worse.
I mean,
There's always people that have done worse, brother. Look, you know,
Always.
I gotta say this, yeah, and then I'm gonna check out, yeah. I I commend you for coming forward and speaking about what's happened to you, because your experience has happened too many times in the black community, and we need to hear what has happened to you and analyze the effects of what's happened to you. So I thank you for coming on and speaking about that. But one of the things I was always afraid of this show turning into is a promotional point for this gay agenda, which
Hmm.
right now in this day and age, and especially over the last few years, is a hot topic, and how, again, we've been socialized to believe that this is the norm and we should accept it, and we should accept it on younger and younger levels. That's not what I want to be a part of. So again, I commend you for coming on, brother. I big you up. Everybody who was participating in the chat, enough love, George. You know it's always love. We will talk later. But again, I can't be a part of the promotional point. And I wish you the well, brother.
Thank you.
peace.
Just to respond to what you said, I'm not in any way, form, or fashion trying to promote homosexuality, to promote any type of perpetuation and any form of homosexuality or anything in that way. You did say some things about being gay, not helping the black agenda. And I just really have a question as to how you feel that is so. Um, I know that there are people who succumb to these social influences and who are traumatized by experiences from their youth. But there are also people who don't. Perpetuate that. They don't send it down the line. It's not a pipeline thing for some of us. And I think that the black community kind of gets in trouble when they try to group us all into this category as being perverted, being pedophiles, and what have you. We don't all want that. So
What do you say? What do you say? Because like I think that's the underlying problem, where a lot of people in the chat is going hard, and you being an openly gay man, I think you should speak to well two things. Two things you said was as far as about having children. But before I get to that, you spoke to I want you to speak to for the people in the chat, the you being an openly gay man, because I believe that because of our stance in the black community on homosexuality, we got thousands, hundreds of thousands of download brothers and sisters all over the place that's married. They got some of them got husbands. They walking around. They on basketball teams. They in the pool pit. They doing all these different things. But we tend to come down on the outward ones, and then we had audacity to say, "Well, if they gay, I don't want to know." We even go as far as saying that. And
right,
I'm just being real. I'm putting it all out there. I'm being real. There's a lot of people who say they'll have a problem with you for being gay, but when you talk about the down low brother, well, if he down low, I don't want to know. And
right.
we'll go as far as to say that. What do you say to the straight people in the chat that say that you're promoting or double talking?
Okay.
When
What
you
was
know being a gay man, you see the so-called straight people living that double life.
Okay, so were the 2 points coming from the chat about me being openly gay and some people living a double life?
Wait, say it one more time. I hear you.
So you said there were 2 points the chat was making that you wanted to address, and I was just trying to clarify: are they one, me being openly gay, and two, those who are in the closet or
I,
whatever?
I rephrase it. All right. The chat room is coming at you. Some of the people, not everybody, but and they're saying that the promotion of homosexuality, and what I'm saying is a lot of people, it's easy to come at you, but then at the same time, I'll pose the question. Okay, this man is outwardly gay. And I told him he knows I disagree with homosexuality. Think it's unnatural. But when I talk about the down low brothers or sisters, the first thing a lot of people in the chat will say is, "Well, if I don't know, I don't want to know,"
Right,
and they'll just let it go. So now you being a gay man, you get a chance to see all those down low brothers, and because you're one of the people that they probably trying to talk to.
right.
So while we're coming at you and being mad at you, and I asked you what was the percentage of the down low brothers, uh, how can I pose it in the question? Just
Yeah, I got you.
yeah, do you
I
see
got
this being hypocritical? Where we
Yeah,
don't
I mean it's a dichotomy, man. Me being gay, dealing with being black and being gay. There's a dichotomy with me being black, double consciousness there, and me being gay and double consciousness there because you know, not all the time do I. Like I said initially, I don't really think of myself as gay. That's just one aspect of my life. If I feel like the conversation warrants it, or if I feel like it's safe for me to expose that side of myself, cool. I'm not I- I'm not I've come to accept myself enough to know that I'm not just a product of molestation. I'm not just a product of somebody exposing themselves to me. And so I mean, yeah, come at me all you want, but know and keep in mind that my only agenda, if you will, is to end or combat white supremacy in my lifetime, to the best of my ability. For as far as people who are DL or down low or in the closet, and the rest of the black community not wanting to know, that's on you. I personally, just to get a little personal, I don't deal with dudes who tell me they're down low. I don't deal with dudes who tell me they're married or have girlfriends or that are supposedly bisexual. I don't deal with those type of dudes because, for one, I feel like there's a level of hate of themselves that they have, and two, like, why are you doing this to another black woman if they're with a black woman? For me, that's just not right.
but let me but that with that being said, how does that make you feel when the community comes down on you for being openly gay, but they're not willing to deal with that?
So, I mean, it's like you want to have the conversation, you want to know the traumas that are going on in the black community, but you don't want me to be open about it. Like, how am I supposed to deal with that as a black person? How are other people like me supposed to deal with that, especially if they've been traumatized? If we want any type of forward movement, we have to know what we're up against. And if that's something that we're up against in our own community, we need to acknowledge that in order to be able to move forward. Because, you want me to be in the closet, you want me to run the front line with you, and then after we've gotten liberation, let's just say, after we've gotten liberation, you find out that I like men, and then all of a sudden you're not okay with it, but I helped you fight. Like, would you rather me be open about it so that you can deal with it, yourself, and I can deal with it in regards to being a part of the black community? Or do you want me to just keep it in the closet and you find out later and then it's a whole nother issue?
So with that being said, with that part that you just said, right?
Yeah.
How do you think that when you look at a lot of the homosexual agenda today, you see a lot of these young black homosexual males siding with white supremacy and promoting and perpetuating homosexuality. Do you think that a large portion of that is the fault of the black community for ostracizing them and pushing them over to the side of the enemy?
I mean, not to be sympathetic, empathetic, or anything else, I'm not pointing fingers because we are all subject to um, assimilation and association with the white community, but um, as far as I've seen, the people that I'm around, the people in my social circle and my social media, and just like white women, black gay men typically want to be with another black gay man. And 9 times out of 10, we can't be with one because they haven't really accepted themselves and they're dealing with some self hate issues.
Somebody said, Anti Crap said, I have a question for him. If you had a pill that would make you 100% straight, would you take it?
I would contemplate it.
Okay.
I would contemplate it. I mean, I guess the reason why is because I mean, I don't know if that's who I was destined to be, a straight man, but uh, you know, if I could have a pill that would make me straight for a day and give me the opportunity as an adult to choose, I would absolutely take it. Um, or maybe even for a week or for a year, um, just to kind of have that option. But that option was taken away from me. I feel
All
anti-crap.
right, so two more questions.
Yeah.
Um, for Rafiki, uh, what are your strategy you think that the black community should that as a homosexual man and as a black man from the black community, what is in Rafiki's mind? What are the way you think that we should be moving as a people to fight white
Well,
supremacy?
hang on, George. I just thought of something for Mr. Anti-Crap. If you had a pill that could make you white, would you take it?
Anti-crap. He said, if you had a pill that can make you white, would he take it? So Irene is going off in the chat room. She's saying that all of your decisions is based off of trauma. Basically, you're not fit to make certain decisions because all of your decisions is based off of trauma.
And she's perfectly fine to think that. You are one individual, Miss Irene. I respect you. I respect your opinions. You don't know what I've gone through. You haven't gone through what I have gone through. And I know that you have your view of what it looks like for black people to be liberated and for what society would be like for black people who are liberated. And I commend you for fighting against white supremacy. I do. You know, um, I can't change your view. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to make anyone accept homosexuality. I'm not trying to make anyone agree with it, whether it's your child, your cousin, your friend, or your boss or whoever. You don't have to agree with it. But this is not something my cousin molesting me. He might have been molested by somebody. That person might have been molested by somebody, but guess where we can all trace it back to as far as this molestation issue? White supremacy. So you can hate me, you can hate the gay, you can hate everything, um, as far as what you might consider a gay agenda, but at the end of the day, I'm not here to fight you. I don't agree with you on everything. I do agree with you on some things, but my fight is not with you. My fight is with white supremacy.
So, um, so do you think that we all should just be fighting together and not focusing on the gay thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was kind of going on my tirade on Facebook, uh, somebody asked me, they said that there is a concentrated group of gay people in Atlanta, Georgia. And so she asked me, well, what do you think we should do about those people if they're trying to fight against white supremacy? We need to go talk to them and we need to go let them know you have a stake in this fight as well. If you don't agree with it, fine. I don't agree with it, but we all have the same goal in mind. I don't think any gay person in Atlanta or anywhere else is trying to promote any gay black person is trying to promote a gay black agenda. I think that's a white thing. It's
How do you feel when you see the homosexual community try to liken the gay struggle to the black struggle in America? How does that make you feel? Do you think it's the same?
I'm a gay person, man. And so I think there are some similarities. I think there are some parallels. But as I heard somebody once say, you can look at a person and tell they're black. You cannot look at a person and tell they're gay. So,
Okay.
there is one main key difference. And so I don't think that it's exactly the same, you
Okay.
know,
That was a
but
safe answer. That was a
what's
safe.
that?
I said that was a safe answer.
It was a safe answer, but I guess to add to that, as far as being gay, I mean, we take cues from not only the dominant society but the black society, and so that's why you see a lot of black men going in the closet. You might not ostracize a gay person directly, but if you're talking about it being wrong and this and that, they're gonna go within themselves, and just like white supremacy or racism or Jim Crow, you know they might not have been talking directly to you, but they were sending you a message by hanging somebody. They were trying to send you a message by, locking your uncle up, and he ain't do nothing, you know. So
Actually, you can look at a person and tell they're gay. So Rudolph Ali, you have gaydar. Rudolph Ali, you actually can look at
you
any.
only have gaydar if you have insider knowledge about being gay.
Yeah, no, this is
You can
what
absolutely not look at somebody and tell they're gay.
Randolph Ali in the chat said. You can actually look at Randolph Island. You can actually look at every gay person walking around and know that they're gay. Okay, what? What are we going to do to let this keep happening to our children? So, do you think that? Do you think that we can actually stop this? Okay, you've been molested as a child, and you
Right.
said on here you don't want to ever see that happen again. Well, all gays ain't flamboyant, Randolph Ali. There's a lot of down low motherfuckers that you would never notice gay that walk around just as masculine as any one of us. So that's not true. Let me say this. Let me ask you. Irene was saying about stopping the cycle and protecting our children. Do you think that there's a possible way that we can police this thing and ever stop it?
I don't think that there's a way you can police it. No.
How am I being disingenuous, Vance F? Because well, you know what? If I'm being disingenuous, get the fuck out of here. Get off my channel. I'm asking. I'm asking. I'm asking. I'm having a grown up conversation with a man asking him a question. If I'm being disingenuous, anybody that think I'm being disingenuous, get the fuck off my platform. Fuck y'all. I don't need you. Get away from me. Don't ever come on my platform again. I'm having a conversation. I'm having a conversation that need to be had. I'm not a homosexual. I'm a straight man. But I'm not putting up with your bullshit. If you don't like it, get the fuck on.
Hey, George.
I'm here.
George. All right, so I guess to do a brief intermission, if you want to, I actually wrote a poem, and this is really how I express myself and how I've dealt with being gay. I wrote a poem for my dad. I haven't recited it to him, but like I said, when I was younger, he was locked up. He was in and out of jail as I was growing up, and so he tried to have an impact on my life the best way he could, and I appreciate him. He's a strong black man. He's very pro black now. He's been out of jail for, probably about 7 years. I want to say, not when he hasn't went back. He hasn't dealt with drugs in the same way, and so I did write a poem. I don't think it'll resonate with the necessarily with the straight community, or people who just don't jive with the idea of gayness, but it kind of tells my story, and it really kind of tells a little bit of his too. Do you mind if I recite it?
Listen, I brought you here for you to speak your speech. Speak your speak. Whatever you say, what you want to say.
All right. So, excuse me if it's a little choppy. I haven't really looked at it in a minute, but it's called "Dad, You're My Hero. You're Still a Hero." I know you wanted to be there. I remember when I was young, you would pick me up, bring me around my brother, and the three of us had no care. Care of trouble, care of separation, care of the system putting us in despair. You were doing the best you could to be there, and that's what makes a hero. I had no worries knowing you were here. I know they locked you up. You were dealing drugs and maybe even doing them, but you were only doing what you knew, thinking about you, but still thinking about us, but still doing you. But you never thought that there would be a slip up. So they took you to jail, and as a child, you were the first man to leave. And I was in jail too, not knowing any details. My hero had left me. What the fuck? I grew up fighting tooth and nail, vying for an answer, lying to my friends, trying to fit in, but only truly dying within. What the hell? Do you comprehend the hell you put me in? Growing up without a father was like walking with no shoes. I walked through life cutting my feet on glass, nail, and dealing with taboos. You were supposed to be here. What's your fucking excuse? Other men tried to step in. They tried to fill the shoes that you couldn't. I thought to myself one time, maybe this man could be my dad, or I could see my dad in this other man, but no one stuck around. No one saved the day. They all left. Before my lost soul was found, they all left. And so an anthem I would resound. Who am I as a man? How do I get another man to love me only the way that you can? I searched for love in all the wrong places, staring down the eyes of grown men only to get blank faces. They didn't care that I was lost. For them, it was a job, and they were the boss. And they fired me every single time because nothing in me was worth the cost. They must have thought to themselves, this boy is so lost, they must have thought. Whoever abandoned him knew that not even a hero would risk their life for this zero. I would blame myself for not being brave enough, for not speaking loud in a fuss, for backing down even when I felt misunderstood. A zero? Yeah, that was me. Scared to speak with the voice of authority. I was antithetical to a hero mentality. And then I would visit you, hoping to find solace when I thought you knew everything that I was going through. You would become only another one of them, a person that didn't like how soft I was, without a voice of a manly diaphragm. And then you would be in and out of jail. When you were out, you would whip me with that belt like you were trying to beat out the guilt and pain you felt. But I never cried because every time you whooped me, I never felt that you were doing it because you loved me. I never felt you were doing it because you didn't love me. Even as a child, I felt you were doing it because it was about you. The resentment you must have felt, not having enough apologies, not being able to raise a man the way you thought he should be, not being my hero. You shamed me for what was wrong, and you didn't do what was right. You didn't pull me aside and say, son, I tried to be your dad. I lied. I faked stepping back in, trying to be a man, not acknowledging that it's my fault that you're in the mess that you're in. I love you. I want to be here for you. You don't have to go looking for love in another man because I am the man. You are my son, and I will only love you till the end. The end of my life or yours, son. You don't you don't ever sorry. Don't ever think that it was your fault that you were abandoned. You never did that. In fact, you never showed up to my graduation. Your selfish desires took you away from me for your drug desperation. I can only wish you had been there. But even for that, you gave me no explanation. So here I am, this 30-year-old man. I had to find myself, Dad. I went through the worst of trying times with a dad I never truly had. But you know what, though? You are still my hero. You've cleaned yourself up, you made a man of yourself, and you've regained my trust. You haven't been back to jail. My little sister and my little brother get to see that man, the one who cares about his kids and is doing what he can not to fail. That man who cares about his family and always did, but it was a system that had him derailed. You are still my hero, Dad, because you had the choice of being there or being what you thought once of me, a zero. You are still my hero, Dad, because you want to build a relationship with me, despite the fear of already losing me. You are still my hero, Dad. You are still my hero.
That see, hearing. I'm gonna say this to the chat room, regardless of whether people like it or not, or people like the fact that I'm having a heart to deal with the situation. Hearing this poem is why we got to have these conversations, because whether you agree with homosexual or not, whether you sympathetic for this man or not, that poem, right? I want y'all to listen and understand something. That poem is not just for the homosexual man. That cry out and that poem is for many Black boys and Black girls that's going through many different traumas of not having their fathers or not being protected properly and being violated in so many different ways. But yet and still, the Black community is so fucking emotional and we're so fucking selective in what we want to deal with. We want to complain about the white man and we want to complain about shit, but we don't want to sit and listen to the fucking stories. We don't want to sit and listen to the pain of our people so we can figure out how do we fix this shit. And I'm so sick and tired of you hypocritical Black bastards. Some of you motherfuckers is worse than the goddamn gay people that you're complaining about. Because you're not willing to sit and fucking listen where we can get to the source of this fucking problem and fix it. You want to bash the victims, but not the victimizers. And so many different and I fucking hate it. I hate it. We're fucking hypocrites. I say the white man is the devil. I preach Black male accountability. I preach Black female accountability. And the only way we're going to be able to deal with this shit is to sit down with our people that's been victimized on so many different levels, and we got to fucking listen to the stories. You got to be willing to listen. If you're not willing to listen and you're not mature enough, get the fuck off my page. I tell all my people, block them motherfuckers. Don't get out of here. I'm sick of you sick bastards because a lot of you motherfuckers are the one that's in pain and you're on here talking shit because you're not willing to deal with your own fucking pain. And I'm not putting up with it on my page. A lot of you motherfuckers have secretly been molested and you're secretly molested motherfuckers. You had a lot of things happen to you. So now when we're dealing with this shit, you're on here acting a fool because we're knocking on your fucking door. And we're forcing you to relive shit that you don't want to relive. This stuff has been going on in our community for a long fucking time. And we have a community where we're so separate from each other. We're not willing to talk. We're not willing. We're so much in pain on so many different levels. We just don't want to deal with this shit, but you got to. The reason why we got a gay agenda within our community, because of the way we behave towards it, we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to deal with the goddamn bishop. We don't want to deal with the goddamn deacon. We don't want to deal with the teacher, the karate instructor, the uncle, mom's boyfriend. We don't want to talk about it. We want to conceal it, put it out of our minds, and act like it never fucking happened. And then run around and mask ourselves with all kinds of things we can't afford and run our mouths and be so fucking aggressive and tough. And we got so much pain that we're dealing with internally that we don't want to deal with. So it's easy just to attack this man for being gay. For what? What am I getting out of attacking this man for being gay? I'm better off listening to his story. And that's the only thing I want. That's the only reason why. That's the only thing I want the people in the chat. Just fucking listen. Shut the fuck up and listen. You're forced to relive your story. Come out and tell. Some of y'all in the chat room. Tell on your fucking uncle. Tell on your aunt. Tell on the choir director. Stop holding in because you are allowing pedophiles to flourish in our community. So now when this brother come out and talk about it, you just beat up on him because your sick ass don't want to relive the fucking pain that you going through. I'm tired of the fucking hypocrisy. I'm tired of it. Yeah, we can disagree with homosexuality. Get Randolph the fuck out of here, Janice. I'm not dealing with that shit. Get your motherfucking faggot. You're the fucking faggot. Get out of here. Are you touched? Have you been touched, Randolph? Huh? Have you been touched? Because it's obviously that you're too immature to have a grown-up conversation. Get your ass out of here. I'm so sick of my people at sometimes, man. And this is why we push people over to the other side Well, why are you even asking me something that's stupid? You see, I'm passionate. Why wouldn't I be touched? I'm passionate by black people, period. I'm passionate by the pain of my people, period. I'm passionate. I'm passionate for my people to be delivered from this shit, period. From pedophilia, black people killing each other, all kinds of black pathological behaviors in the black community I'm passionate about. You motherfuckers are stupid. You become the white man in brown skin. And this is why we can't have these conversations. And a lot of our people are suffering in silence and they're committing suicide. They're committing acts of pedophilia because we're not willing to have the conversations. Brother, I want to commend you, Brother Rafiki, for coming on here and having a heart to tell your story. I know how hard it is for black men to come and tell this type of story. I know a lot of times women to come out and say, hey, I've been molested, and they come and tell the story. But for a black man in America to be black first and deal with the stigma, but then to be a black homosexual and to come out and say, hey, I've been molested by another man, that's not easy. So I commend you for coming on and being brave enough to come and tell your story. We can disagree on certain things, but I don't I don't have a right to take away your humanity as a person. I don't live that way. You said that you are black first, and you believe in fighting for um, uh, uh, the deliverance of our people, man. So I support you, brother. I love you. I hope that you get the closure to the things that you need going forward in your life. Um, you know, sorry for some of the assholes in the chat, but you know our people are in pain, and our people are not. We don't want to open up Pandora's box. We don't want to deal with this shit. We going tomorrow when you look on Black YouTube, you're gonna see a whole bunch of niggas saying the white man is the devil. The white man did this during slavery. The white man did this. But when it comes to saying, let's open up the book and talk about the ills with it. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
So I'll let you close out. If there's some things that you want to say before we close out, you can say what you need to say.
It's not too much I want to say. I really do appreciate you for extending your platform to me. I appreciate you allowing me to share my story. Um, I, whether you agree or disagree with homosexuality, that's on you. Um, my fight is not anti-gay or for gay. I just want our people to uh, be liberated from this thing called white supremacy, and I want us to live in a productive society, and I want us to deal with, not only deal with, but end some of the generational curses that we've dealt with. Um, we do all have individual stories, gay or not, that have led us to be the people that we are today. And whether society agrees with it, whether the black community agrees with it or not, we do have a story. And I encourage everybody out there to share their story. You don't have to deal with it on your own. You don't have to suffer in silence. If you get it out of you, it's off of you. You can go on and be you and support what you want to support. I hope that you support the black community. I hope that you support the end of white supremacy. But that's all I have to say for tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. My email is artmo33@gmail.com. That's artmo33@gmail.com. I'm open and willing to talk to anyone who's dealing with anything. Um, Once again, George, I appreciate you.
Yeah, somebody asked one last question. It says, "But does he want to be liberated from homosexuality?" But I know that you said that you don't think in your mind you don't think that people can be uh, turned
Right.
turned back. So you can answer it the way you see fit.
No, I don't want to be liberated from homosexuality. Somebody posed the question earlier, if I could take a pill, would I go straight? I would try it out. And, if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. But I don't see it happening for me. So that's my answer.
All right, and I want to thank you. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Uh, I do, but I don't use it to post videos. Like I said earlier, I started posting videos. I posted a couple of videos. One of them was about the outcry of individualism in the Black community. Um, you know, just to kind of talk about that a little bit. And the other one, I've been reading more books about the struggle that we've gone through and, our history in general. And so um, I think that, one of those topics that comes up a lot on these YouTube panels is intersectionality. And I don't necessarily think that intersectionality is any type of cure for the end of white supremacy or racism in our country. But we do need to acknowledge that each of us individuals have a story to tell, and sometimes people do relate or draw towards a certain community that's not Black, or that's a part of the dominant society. And, if we encourage ourselves more often, we might steer away from that idea of intersectionality. But you got people going where they want to feel comfortable. The other video I posted was about, I can't remember right now, but that's just kind of what I'm about. Um, how can you want people to love the Black community when the Black community hates them for who they are? So I don't really use my YouTube platform for videos at this time. I may consider using it in the future, but you can look it up. It's Rafiki Kaaria on YouTube. I'm sure if you search me, there's not a lot of people with my name, so you'll find me. My picture is up, the same picture that you can see on the screen. So feel free to look me up.
All right, I want to thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for people coming into the chat and taking the time to hear the brother's story. I think that we need to have more conversations like this because this is not something that we're looking at from across the pond. These uh, there's homosexuals are living in our houses. There are family members. They're on so many different levels, and we know that when we ostracize our family members, the white supremacist agenda brings them over to their agenda. So there is a homosexual agenda that white supremacy is pushing, and they're using uh, a lot of our family members as tools. So we have to be aware of that. And we have to be able to have these type of conversations and deal with our own trauma and our own pain. Our trauma and our pain in the Black community is different from the other ethnic groups. So we have a lot of trauma and pain of self-hate, murdering each other, drug addiction, homosexuality. We have so many different traumas on so many different levels that we're going to have to deal with on so many different levels. So our our traumas are different, and we have to uh, uh, talk about these things and be willing to deal with it. So remember, I love my people more than they hate themselves, and I pray to the universal creator most high that these words is enough to inspire you. These words are enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. These words are enough to look at your children and know you have to make change. I hope that uh, uh, that this information was enough. I hope this information just was enough to make you look at some of your own family members and some of the skeletons you have in your own closet. Some of you may be molesting. Some of you may have been molested and don't want to talk about it. I hope that this information was enough to make people just want to have the conversation and talk about it. So remember, I love all y'all. Listen, let's bring him. Let's bring some more of his friends next time, so he won't have to walk on eggshells because George will protect. He ain't walking on eggshells. The man is talking what he talk. Let's bring you on. Let's bring you on, sexy Rona, and let's talk about your life. Let's see what happened to you when you was 5. What you experienced. 6 out of 10 girls are molested. Have you ever been molested? Have your mother been molested? Have you had family members on crack? Let's talk about your story. See, we got to stop this shit, man. Like, I don't like the ignorance of our people, man. I don't like it. Like, we got to stop. We are so used to and prone to disrespecting each other, Mike. It's just disgusting. Like, let's talk about your story. This man came on and told his story. Come on and tell your story. Tell your inner dark secrets that don't nobody know about. What's in your closet, sexy Rona? The platform is yours. I'm ready. I got the platform. I'll set it up. Come on and let's talk about your story, sexy Rona. No, I'm attacking you, not us. I'm attacking you. You come on here, Sexy. Everybody in the chat, look at Sexy Rona. Sexy Rona, come on to the platform. I'll set up a show and we could talk about you and your deepest, darkest secrets. Let's have it. Whenever you're ready, my email, I'm gonna put my email in the chat for you. Let's do it. There we go. My email right there in the chat. Let's come on and let anybody else that have a problem, let's come on and let's talk about y'all deepest, darkest secrets. Let's have it. The email's in the chat. You're welcome. So remember, I love all y'all. Till the next time. Peace.